So continuing about Rosh Hashannah, we had spoken so far about Malchuyos and Zichronos. And in general, the idea that we tried to say was that the Yom Day is Yom HaZikaron. That's what the Tavlin calls it, Yom HaZikaron. And the Zichronos doesn't just mean remembering the past, but it means deciding for the future. And Hashem made that decision of how Hashem is going to conduct the world goes by a year at a time. Because Hashem could have done differently. There's a reason why Dafka a year, the cycle of a year. And the Yom Zikaron is like it says in the Zohar, Yom Adin, which we call it Yom Adin, is from the Zohar, that is a day of judging what's going to be in the coming year. The Malchuyos is because it's a day of judgment and Hashem is, so to speak, acting as a king. So we take the opportunity to daven that Hashem's kingship should come to its full fruition, which is and the tefillah that we say is all about that with davening that Hashem's melucha, Hashem's kingship should be in its entirety. We based it on the one Rosh Hashannah that says, which I think that Ashwa made a mistake, and they understand that mistake because they didn't understand that the melucha of Hashem is something that we want. It's just like we're accepting it upon ourselves and we're being good citizens, so to speak, and taking upon ourselves the yoke of Hashem's sovereignty. So therefore they translated it different than the other ones. The whole time when they translated over there, over there, they always meant so that do this, so that you should get this benefit. But by this one thing of they didn't translate it that way. They translated it same Malchuyos in order that you should thereby proclaim your acceptance of Hashem's sovereignty, which is definitely changing the flow of all other Gemaras, because they didn't realize, I think, that the kingship of Hashem is the benefit. To have that Hashem should be in the driver's seat, so to speak, is the big atzlacha. We don't want to be in the driver's seat. We want that Hashem should be in the driver's seat. So means that so that Hashem, you should make Hashem should be king. And Hashem put it in our power to make him king, more or less. And
so what does that mean? That you're not doing it like you're doing the mitzvah of Rosh Hashannah is to...
The mitzvah is, let's go back. The mitzvah is to bring the Omer. That's the mitzvah. And what do you get out of that? What's going to be the benefit? That you're going to have blessing on your grain. The mitzvah is to bring shtei lechem, and the blessing is going to be you're going to have good fruit. The mitzvah is to do nisach hamayim, the libations, and the blessing is going to be you're going to have water. The mitzvah is to say zichronos, and the blessing is, and the result is you're going to have that Hashem is going to give a good verdict. All that's understandable. One more. The mitzvah is to say malchuyos, and the result is going to be that Hashem is going to be king over us. That's the result. That's the good thing. That's the benefit we're going to get out of it. That Hashem is king. Hashem is king is the big benefit. And the Ramchal says openly, he doesn't say it on these words, but he says it again and again, that the biggest success we could have is that Hashem should be king. It's for our benefit. It's not just that we're Pashup Shat and Malchuyos, and if anybody has the opportunity,
other opinions saying that's not
that's the avoda, not that's the avoda is to make Hashem king. They're not realizing that the success, the benefit is that Hashem is going to be the king. Okay, that was more or less what we said last time, and we didn't talk about shofaros yet.
We didn't talk about
Shofar. So some people,
which by you would think is the most important thing, because
the pasuk says Yom Trua, Zichron Trua.
Right,
So what is it all about? So it says it's only a means. The shofar is a means. It's a means for something. I think Gemara says over there, say Malchuyos, say Zichronos, Ubameh B'Shofar. So first of all, just to take away a mistake, some people think that you don't ask what's supposed to happen with the shofar, as if to say you don't ask, because the Gemara says Lama Token. How come you blow? The Gemara says Lama Token. Hashem said to blow. It's a Gemara in. I don't have the Maramokim, but it's around over there. I think it's the same page over there, 16 in Rosh Hashannah. So the Gemara says, why do we blow? So why do we blow? Because Hashem said to blow. As if to say, don't ask any question. Hashem said to blow, you blow. But that's not found in the Gemara, because the Gemara always says on the same page over there says He just had a whole list of 5 things. Why did the Torah say? Why did the Torah say? Why did the Torah say? So you're allowed to ask why did the Torah say? It means what is meant. What does the Torah want us to do these things for? Why bring the Omer? But here the Gemara said, when you ask why do we blow? Why do we blow? Because Hashem said to blow. That's why you blow. You want to know why Hashem said to blow? We can talk about it. But I think Rosh Hashannah makes a big issue out of this, that to understand the mitzvahs is not in order to do them. You do them because Hashem says so, if you understand it or not.
I guess the chok, like there's one of the explanations that I've learned is that everything you say in Torah should be on the level that's a chok.
That you do it if you understand it or not.
You know, you don't know.
And why does it help to understand it? In order to, it's a better quality of doing if you understand what you're doing. I'll give a mashal. If somebody is told to put a fence on their roof, it says in the Torah the reason to put a fence on the roof is because no one should fall off, right? What if somebody puts on a fence on the roof without knowing that? He went to shul. The Rav said that, yeah, and the Rav Dar said at Drasha, if you have a roof, you have to put a fence around the roof. 10 tefachim high, it should be strong. He says, why? Doesn't say any reason. So he put up the fence on the roof, but he doesn't know what he did. So it lacks in the quality of the mitzvah. He doesn't know what he's doing. So the more, if he put a fence on his roof and he doesn't know that it's in order that people shouldn't fall off.
If he makes a strong enough wall, high enough.
He's Yosef. Because he doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Why is it lacking cloud?
Because Hashem wants you to put a fence in order people shouldn't fall off. And you're putting a fence because you think that it's a chok. You don't know what you're doing. Hashem wants, the more you do something.
I mean, the yachas with Hashem.
Yes. The yachas to Hashem's commandments. You have some kind of a connection with Hashem's commanding. If you don't know what you're doing dry things that you don't know what you're doing. Not that if I don't know what I'm doing, I'm not going to do it. I'm only doing it because I understand people shouldn't fall off. That's wrong. You put up a fence. Lama osin maika because Hashem said so. But mipnei ma amra Torah to make a maika.
Because Hashem wants us to know why.
Yes. And you're doing a better mitzvah if you know why.
Because He wants us to understand it.
You can understand it you don't have to make it like a chok also. Not that Hashem wants it, so Hashem wants. But there's understanding in it. If you're doing something for a parent, the father says, please get me nails. So you get nails. If you know that the father, that he's in the middle of building something and you're getting him the nails in order to be able to build a certain thing that he wants to build, so you're more doing, you can mitchaber to the person of the father. It isn't only a chok that Hashem says, I want you to know what you're doing. We in this world also. Someone sends you on a message and he gives you a GPS and it's all set and you're going to right, left, 100 meters, turn, go by the circle. But you don't know what you're doing. You don't know where you're going. Unknown destination. They just programmed it for me, and I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, right and left and forward, but I don't know what I'm doing. So you're not there. You're not. It's lacking in the quality of what you're doing. So whenever we talk about why we're doing something, the Gemara is very exact. Why are you doing it? Because Hashem said so. What are you doing? What did Hashem say to do that? The more you understand, the better. You do it if you do it regardless. If we're not going to know the answer to why the Torah said so, we're also going to do it. Rosh Hashannah is very strong when he talks about the reasons of mitzvahs that he's trying to explain. He says that's not the reason why you do it. You do it because Hashem said. But what is the understanding of what Hashem told us to do? So when the Gemara talks about why do we blow? Why do we blow? Because Hashem said. Why does the Torah say to say shofar, to do shofar? That it says that it's a medium for what we said before, bameh b'shofar. We'll get to that now. What does it mean, bameh b'shofar? The Gemara said, "Say malchuyos kadesh tamlechuni aleichem," in order you should make me king over you, and say zechronos in order that your verdict should come good before me.
That's already Ma'amar Chazal.
I'm saying everything Ma'amar Chazal. Both of them are Ma'amar Chazal.
No, I'm thinking some of them are Pesukim. There's not Pesukim. What are you saying?
No, I just said Chazal. The pasuk that says Yom Shua and Zichron Shua doesn't say anything.
So from there, we're learning from Chazal. There's the sword in this Chazal. Is you do it because they tell you. Oh, there are some reasons for that.
And that's what I was trying to distinguish. Now, if you talk about why are you doing something because Hashem said so, what are you doing?
Closer to the more Hashem loves it, or what do we say? The more.
Why? If we understand what Hashem tells us to do, the more you understand what Hashem is telling us to do, so you're doing a better quality mitzvah.
Better quality.
How about all the mitzvahs in the Torah that does not give reason?
So you do it anyway. So you do it anyway. You do it the same. You don't do the mitzvahs that you understand. You don't do them more than the other. You do all of them because Hashem said so. But the ones that you can understand, there's a quality to understand them. You're doing a better mitzvah if you understand them. You're doing a better mitzvah if you understand them.
You said a nice thing about your father bringing the nails. But the son understands what his father doesn't. He's not going to buy nails that his father doesn't. He's not used to.
That's something else. That's a different
Why?
point. That you're saying that it also helps to be able to know what to do better.
No, he doesn't know. He doesn't know what he knows what he wants the father to do, but he uses his seichel to make it a better mitzvah, to make it a more pleasing to his father.
In what way does he make it more
Well,
pleasing?
he knows that his father loves building, and he uses the best quality stuff. So don't go buy something made out of zinc instead of hard steel.
That's so you're saying a different point, that it also helps you to know how to which thing what to do. I was trying to avoid that. That's also true. But sometimes if you know the mitzvah, you know what to do. But even the agaratas that are not going to change in what you do, just the meaning, that alone is a quality if you know the intent of the mitzvah. Even if you wouldn't change anything of what you're doing, you do the exact same thing. The GPS tells you exactly what to do.
Which one?
The GPS,
Yeah.
it tells you exactly what to do, but you don't know where you're going.
Yeah.
You go into the car, it's already programmed, and it says, Yotzim la derech, Eza derech. She doesn't answer. Yotzim la derech, we're going on the road.
3 weeks ago, I took my wife on the road. Take a left into Atarot to get to Shaman. So I went. My wife said, "What are you going here for?" I said, "Well, I don't know. This seems well."
But you know,
we drove through Ramallah, Mamish through Ramallah, in the middle of Ramallah. I had no idea. My wife was screaming out of fear.
Mhm.
I couldn't stop because I didn't know where to go. I just keep going. It's pretty scary.
How did this relate to shofar?
We're talking
Yeah,
about,
that's
do we know?
Originally, we were saying, who is supposed to hear the shofar? We said the Shem.
That's another point. Okay, I should have said it also. I forgot that I mentioned it already. We're going to talk about now what is the shofar? What is the shofar? What is the shofar accomplishing? What is the shofar accomplishing?
We said it's accomplishing the.
Oh, so that's what we're talking about now.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about now. So the Gemara says, say malchuyos, kadesh tamlichuni alechem, says achronos, kadesh yalu zechanechem letova. Bameh b'shofar. With what? With the shofar. The shofar is a medium for the above. So
knowing that will make it a better mitzvah.
Knowing that will make it a better mitzvah, yes. But the question is, which one is it going on? It means it says malchus and it says achronos and it says bameh b'shofar. We spoke about it last time. We touched on it a little bit. Now we're up to the subject. Is it going back on the point that just preceded it, achronos, that the shofar accomplishes achronos, or does it accomplish also the malchuyos also? What is the shofar doing? Is it doing something for the zechronos only, or is it doing for the shofaros, for the malchuyos also? Again, the Gemara says there's malchus, there's zechronos, bameh b'shofar. So you could learn that bameh b'shofar is only going on the one that I just mentioned, or maybe it's going in all of the above. Why do you think so? Maybe not. Where do you find that the blowing of the shofar is blowing for the king?
When you, just in general, we say we coordinate when a king's coordinated, so we blow a shofar.
Right. So you do have that maybe in our Bachatosos or Kol Shofar B'Lifnei Melech Hashem. It could be that there's such a way of coronating a king, announcing Hashem's kingship, but I don't know if there's such a source in Chazal.
No, that goes to what you were saying the other day, right? You were saying that you're in a sense making the king upon you. You're instating the king as your king.
Right. Does the shofar accomplish that, or is that something we do just with the psukim and the tefillos? But does the shofar accomplish that also?
Well, just it goes together nicely. What you were suggesting. I mean, if we're saying that we're instating the king as our king, so then the way we do it in the physical world is when we coordinate a king. I assume I don't know this to be the facts, but I assume we blow the shofar when we're coordinating the king, so to speak. Maybe that's just from movies, but it would seem to go together.
So it could be, and some of us do say like that. It's just very interesting that the Gemara, whenever it talks about the shofar, it always talks about Zechronos. It means this is a question. I'm just pointing out that there's a question.
If you can just define, I'm sorry, Rav, Zechronos, what is that word?
Which word?
Zechronos?
Zechronos. Zechronos is there's a judgment. Call it the judgment. Malchuyos is the kingship. Zechronos is the judgment. And shofar is shofar. So interesting. Whenever the Gemara talks about shofar, it always talks about the judgment.
That's the lashon in the,
You could say that also.
in the text, no? In the
Right? One place it says Zechron True. And whenever the Gemara talks about shofar, it always talks about the fact that it helps in the judgment. It doesn't talk about the kingship, but this coronation that Yom was suggesting, which some of Hashem do say, it doesn't seem to have a source in the Gemara. There's some you can learn in this Gemara when it says Bameh Shofar, you can say it's going back on both things, but it's not so simple. There are some Rishonim that say that also, but it's interesting when the Gemara talks about shofar. It always says that the shofar is machnes zechronos shel Yisrael abim shebashamayim. It's a Gemara in a couple of places. It always says that. One place is Shabbos 131b, and other places you can look on the side over there that it brings down that the shofar has a certain quality because it brings in the recalls Am Yisrael before Hashem. So the Gemara, there's no Gemara. As far as I heard, I saw, I didn't find that the Gemara doesn't relate the shofar as a way of coronating the king. I'm not saying if somebody says that it's wrong, but just to point out that it's not simple.
I think you're
And
right.
the
I
Gemara-
also don't think it's fine. I was saying-
In the Machzor, I was going to say. In the Machzor, I was going to say so.
No.
It doesn't say it as a mitzvah of shofar. It might say that when they coronated the king, it could be that they coronated the king with a shofar, like the Yom is saying. It could be that they coronated the king with a shofar. Yechiel Melech, the king should live. It could be, but it doesn't say that in reference to the shofar of Rosh Hashannah. By the shofar of Rosh Hashannah, it always talks about that it's a way of making the good judgment. I'm just pointing out, not simple.
Rav.
Which who has with what? What is it? The Reb Sadigon. Reb Sadigon. It's in the Machzor over there. And over there it says there's other reasons also, but all the reasons, it probably says it also, but it's always going to be like it's coronation, but it's going to be more like a speculation without any source from Chazal. So the question is, if Chazal talk about the shofar as coronation or only as a way of bringing the zichronos. I'm not saying for sure not. It could be.
Zichronos, we don't have to question because in the Gemara, it only mentioned it right after.
Right, so it's surely going on zichronos, but maybe shofar is surely going on
We don't have to go
zichronos.
through this questioning about where is it in Chazal that the mitzvah
Oh, and
shofar
it's
is
for
on
the-
Zichronos.
It does. That it also says. That says openly. That says openly that the shofar is helping for the zichronos. That says in Shabbos 131, and many places the same Gemara goes over again. Shechein machneses zichronos seyem zichronos shel Yisrael lavin shebashamayim. It says many times in the Gemara that the shofar accomplishes that it
There's
brings the
does
judgment.
not in the Gemara
It doesn't
that
say about that it coronates the king. Right. Now it could be. I'm not saying definitely not. There are Rishonim also that say it. I'm not coming, but it's a chiddush. In the Gemara, you would say it's a Gemara. Whenever it talks about Malchus Zichronos, it always talks about the shofar. Shofar talks about Zichronos. It's a chiddush to say it's also going on Malchus. The Zohar and they all talk about the Zichronos. That the shofar has to do with the Zichronos. So I'm going to talk about Zichronos. It could be others will say about the Malchus also. It doesn't say openly in the Gemara. There's also, just to point out that we do say on the Seder of the Tefillah, we have Malchus Zichronos, we blow it all 3 times. We blow, and by the Chazar Sashatz, by the repetition, so they do blow by Malchus, Zichronos, Shofar, so there is a blowing of the Shofar by Malchus also, which also leans itself that it does have to do with something to do with the Malchus. Unless you say that it's also already coming to help the judgment, even in the Malchus. But I'm not rejecting it. I'm not saying that it's a chiddush to say that the shofar goes on the Malchus also. It surely goes on the Zichronos. No, that's late. No, that's much. That's not the Gemara. All that is not the Gemara. That's Minhagim later, and that's not the Tochen. That's not the.
Rav,
Yes, please.
please forgive me. I don't think I've left the side of your tent that often, but it seemed like a new concept that you brought up. This I don't know if I just missed that lesson, but you were talking about before that when a person understands the reason for the mitzvah, it's a better quality mitzvah. I think your language was.
Yes.
Where are you pulling that from? This idea of quality. What do you mean by better quality? And do you have a source for what you're saying?
The very issue that the Gemara says on this page, how come the Torah said to bring Omer? How come the Torah said to bring Shtel Lechem? How come like 5 times the Gemara says Mipnei Ma Omer Torah? And also in other places also the Gemara, that expression comes up a lot. Why did the Torah say? What's the difference? You do the mitzvah. What's the difference if you know why the Torah said? It means the Gemara says it's important that you should know why the Torah said. If you could know. If you can't know, we can't know. And of course, to know that has much more depth than we're ever going to know. But as much as one could know the reasons of the mitzvah, so that is a quality of the mitzvah. The mashal that I gave about the fence around the roof, does that speak to you?
No, first of all, just on what you just on the first thing that you had said, I can understand that, my conceptually, I thought the understanding of the Gemara was we should strive to attribute a meaning to the mitzvahs, a reasoning like you're suggesting, but not that second stage, not that if you do have a reasoning, so it's a better quality. One could argue like in your mashal, that the son's asked to bring the nails. So let's say the son doesn't know the reason to bring the nails. One maybe could suggest that maybe when a person doesn't know and he still does the mitzvah, that's a better quality. Just because you don't know the reason, but you fulfill it, without any hesitation, I would think someone could say that's a better quality than obviously knowing.
I agree that if the fulfillment of the commandment is only as much as he understands or based on what he understands, then I agree that the one who's not going to do it only according to how much he understands, so that's not good. And the person who does it, if he understands or not, that's a better quality. But I'm talking about that both of them are doing it regardless if they understand it or not. But one of them understands it. Is he have any better quality than the one that doesn't? He's more connected. He's more connected to the will of the commander. He's not just listening to his orders, but he is interested in the same thing, in fulfilling the will of the commander. If the father wants something, whatever he wants, and the son understands what he wants to do with that and why he enjoys it, and he's interested in doing that will of the father. So he's more connected. He knows what he's doing. He's more connected to the will of the father.
I thought that even like when it comes to Rabbanans, where we are sometimes even given the reasoning behind the Rabbanans. So we're told that just because we're given the reasoning doesn't mean that's the only reasoning. And there may be other reasonings that the Rabbanans didn't give.
I wouldn't say different either. I would agree that any reason.
Okay, so I just want to extrapolate that to say that when it comes to the Deraisas, so then I would have thought this. I thought again, it was just maybe my Valley Tshuva misunderstanding, but I agree that we're supposed to try to. I thought we were supposed to try to determine the mitzvahs, but that even when the reasoning for the mitzvahs, but even when we do, that's not that may just help us with understanding and performing the mitzvah, but not necessarily is that the ultimate reason for the mitzvah. We can never really understand Ribono Shel Olam's ultimate reasoning for the mitzvah unless he specifies it.
Right. So I would agree very much, and I would very much make a distinction between ourselves speculating and dreaming up reasons that a lot of Mefarshim do, that I don't give that too much credence. And when the Gemara says a reason, means the term, the way you just expressed it, that we should try to figure out what we would think the reason of the mitzvah is. I don't subscribe to that. That we should try to figure out what the reason of the mitzvah is. I don't spend time on that, and I'm not excited when I hear somebody's speculation, because like who says? But when the Gemara, Chazal, Midrashim, Zohar, if over there is going to express some reason of the Torah, so then I think that Hashem wants us to know that the Chazal is saying this is one of the reasons. Doesn't mean that that's the whole reason. No, even that's also true. But speculation on our own, I'm not fond of at all. If we're going to start speculating on reasons what the mitzvah might have been, people coming up with all kinds of ideas that their own ideas. I'm not impressed with that. But when the Gemara tells you, or Midrashim, or Zohar, things like that, so then I think that there is you're knowing a reason, and the more reason you know, the better quality mitzvah you're doing.
Do you call this Tanya mitzvahs?
But Tami mitzvahs, the way the Mefarshim use the Tami mitzvahs, they're gonna use speculation. So I'm distinguishing now between our own speculation or when the Gemara says it.
Some of the freshmen, they have a
Okay, if they have a source, then they have a source. If not, then it's very chalash, the whole thing. If someone's gonna speculate, this might be the reason of the mitzvah. Okay, maybe not. I'm not impressed with those.
I was a told now, I'm under the impression that time and this is a very high level, and a very praiseworthy element of
I don't know. I don't know that to be true.
activity.
That a person should speculate what the reasons of the mitzvah are. I don't know how much time to spend on that.
Zohar spends immense
No,
amount
so I'm saying the Zohar is coming from someplace else. If the Zohar or the Gemara, the Agadata, so those Amarim, Tanoim, so I give a different level of what they're, but we're going to speculate with see a mitzvah, what might it be? And you hear all kinds of speeches. Okay, Osha again.
when you see like,
I'll tell you a little better. People, they put in their own ideas into the Torah. They have an idea. They have no source. They have an idea. They put it into a mitzvah. And they say, maybe this is the reason in a mitzvah. So they gave their idea the authority of the Torah. And they have no proof to that at all. So you're not allowed to do that. If they know that the idea is true on its own, so then maybe they could say that might be a reason of the Torah. If they know for sure that the reason that statement is true. But what you find a lot of times people do that they say something, they say a pshat in a chumash or something, and then they say, oh, you see, it's a parasha pasuk. Why is it a parasha pasuk? Because you said so. Because you explained it that way. That's not worth anything.
So it seems to me that Rebbe has added 2 points now. One is that knowing the reason, as Chazal have articulated, is good. And that the better quality means that it brings us closer to the Creator.
I didn't say there was words. I thought that you're doing a better mitzvah.
I add maybe you connect.
Because you're connected more. That's what I thought that
Yeah,
meant.
but what connected more? You're
Doing a mitzvah connects us. And the more we know about
you're-
it.
so it's a better mitzvah. You're doing the mitzvah better by knowing what
well,
you're
better
doing.
connects us more.
Okay, everything. The mitzvah is always to connect. The reason of the act of the mitzvah is also connecting you, and you're doing a better mitzvah when you know what you're doing. You're putting your head in it also, not only your hands.
Well, I think the relationship is better.
Also,
So why would,
but you know what you're
how do
doing.
you, that is a very good word. In other words,
Okay,
how about the dots?
you're putting your mind also. You're also utilizing your mind also
That
for
means it
the.
becomes
The
part of
soldier.
you as the I don't know what perpetrator of a good deed, the do of the deed, the do of the mitzvah, when I know what I'm doing, so then it already comes into my midas, it comes into my
Okay.
kishka.
I think the muscle of the soldier. would
Well,
also
will be the case.
Well, bottom line is the soldier has to do the order of whoever it is, the sergeant, the general, he has to obey the order. If he knows that he's doing it to conquer that hill or whatever it is on the prat or on the cloud, if this is protecting our country,
Right.
he's gonna be doing it better.
But you're saying something else. You're saying that I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that that's to distinguish between the things I was saying. You're saying that he'll do it better. He'll move his hand better. He'll run faster. The fact that he knows what he's doing, he's going to have more. His actions are going to be better actions.
He'll be more vested in it.
And what does invested mean? What do you mean
Yeah,
to
I thought
say?
he meant he'll do it
So
better.
it's
So
going
you're saying he's
to.
not
I meant to say that it's a better doing when his head is there also. Not that I didn't mean to say. I'm not saying you're wrong. That's also
You're saying
true.
it's the same
It's also
doing, but it's a better. doing.
Right. If you have two people, both of them put on the fence on the rooftop, they did the exact same thing. But the one knows that the purpose is that people shouldn't fall off, and one doesn't know the reason. He thinks it's Kabbalah. It is Kabbalah, but he doesn't know what the Torah says that the reason is. So he's not doing as good a mitzvah as a person who knows what he's doing. Not because
So as a
he's going to
soldier,
do
you
it
think
better.
that muscle doesn't fit?
I would
Let's
say
they're
my- yeah,
both
I would say
gonna run
everything.
fast. They're both
The
gonna-
same speed.
the
That's how
same
the
speed, they're
both of
gonna
them
go the
say.
best way.
Both of them go in an airplane, and we tell them at
Bomb at
20
20 degrees. or-
degrees, whatever, you press the button.
Yeah.
One knows when he presses the button, he just destroyed Hamas's headquarters.
Mhm.
And he saved all the Jews that are going to be in. Another one doesn't know what he's doing. He has no idea what he's doing. As far as he knows,
that he's
he might be
doing-
over the sea and doing a drill. He doesn't know what he's doing. Is there a difference in the two acts? Both of them did the same exact thing. And the general said to do it, then he didn't. One knows that he's destroying the enemy, saving Am Yisrael, saving his nation, and the other one doesn't know what he's doing. He said, "I pressed the button exactly at the right second." He really conquered the Hamas.
Oh, so
because
that has nothing to do with connecting.
I mean, it's called connected. Means he knows what he has a quality of what he's doing. That he's there. The person is there. Not the question if he's going to do a better job, but that is called a better job. That his mind is there, his heart is there. He knows it. Okay, this is all the side subject.
But in that muscle, the quality depends. who we're looking from. You know, if we're looking from the individual who's doing it, is that what you're trying to say? That when the individual does it, he has a better quality. But if we look from the Rabboni Shalom, the general doesn't care whether you know or you don't know. He wants you to do the mission and to do it right.
Right.
And
but
sometimes you don't have the answer of what the mission is. And sometimes the general doesn't tell you what you're
again and
doing.
again, if you don't have the mission, you still have to do it, and you still do it, and you get enthusiastic because I'm doing the will of the commander. But it's a better doing when you know what you're doing. And the general also will say that those soldiers that know that they are bombing the enemy, I want them to know that they're bombing the enemy because they should be there in their spirit. Their spirit should be there, not because they're going to do a better act necessarily, but because that means that their mind is there, their heart is there. They're actually doing it. Sometimes the general might not care, but I think that a real general would care that the soldiers should know that they are destroying the enemy, not that they're doing drills.
Okay, but you see that this is not the case with the Rabboni Shalom. So the general here, the Rabboni Shalom doesn't always give us the reasoning.
But he
And
doesn't.
sometimes the general just wants to see, are you a loyal soldier? Are you
That
loyal,
could be.
even though you
That
don't have
becomes
all
yes,
the information?
True. The Torah does say the reason, so then that's all I'm saying. But we didn't get to that subject yet, so we'll continue next time. That's your everybody.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you. So I'm not going to save this recording because I didn't get onto the subject yet. So, okay.